Hey, how's it going? I hope that you're doing wonderful. Here I'm just going to be talking about the mind, which is actually in your heart. Because like when you hold a little baby, when a baby is born, you're going to discover that the heart beats in the mind. So the heart is the mind. So the mind is the heart. So understanding what's in your heart is understanding your core, your essence, your very being. Your heart is your mind. So when you control your heart, when you discipline your heart, when you regulate your heart, then you're able to control your mind and everything that is there, your senses, your desires, your thoughts, your ideas. But what happens is that we really have to guard our minds from everything. Guard your heart with all diligence, which is guard your mind with all diligence. From there offspring all the issues of life. So when I read this verse, I really, really took it to heart. I took it so seriously because the heart determines everything in life. So the heart of a person is like the the essence of a person. Like what's in your heart is what's in your mind and what's in your actions, what's in your life, what's in your destiny, your heart. So when you're able to guard your heart, it means that you're protecting it from contagious thoughts, from toxic people and situations. And through this, you're able to master life. So the ultimate wisdom, the fruit of wisdom, is the ability to protect your heart or your mind from certain influences. So we live in an environment, different environments. Like you probably live in a different environment from me, and someone else lives in a different environment from you. But what happens is that in that environment, there is a certain nature that is stirred up in that environment. So, what is the nature of your environment? Some people live in an environment and atmosphere that is very hard for them to pray. Like if you start praying, people start laughing at you or teasing you. Something like that, you know. Some people live in an environment where it's normal for you to get drunk every day. Like that's what you're supposed to do, you know, get drunk every day. And all of these different environments are have their different natures. But more than that, there's also what is nurtured in your environment. Some people live in an environment where reading books is nurtured in their own family, in their own household. Like the dad will say, like, "Hey, come, let's read a book," whatever, you know. Like they actually nurture it in that environment. And some people live in the opposite, like where if you're reading a book, it's like nurtured, like that environment is nurturing you not to even go to a library and check out a book because that would be seen as being dorky, geeky, nerdy. Like that's just too lame. Like, hey, you're gonna go to a library, you know? So that's the nature and the nurture of different environments. And this affects your heart and your mind, right? So when you're protecting your heart and your mind, what you're doing is you're in a natural area, and you're protecting yourself from these things that are nurtured in that nature. So when you're protecting your heart and your mind, you're looking at your own situation, your own environment, and choosing what's going to affect you. So this is something that takes a lot of strength, like emotional strength, because you have to choose something that might be contrary to what everyone else is doing. Like instead of you saying that, all right, everyone is going to go out to drink, and that is the nature of this environment. And if you are going to make a choice to stay and do something else, this is going to take a lot of strength. It's not as easy as it sounds. So when you're protecting your mind and your heart, this is what you're doing. So it takes some courage from your part in order to protect your heart, in order to protect your mind, to guard it with all diligence, because thereof spring all the issues of life. So certain things are put into your mind, and certain things are being taken as natural, which are not. For example, black people were naturally called subhuman, which is not true. Um, um, for example, like something that is as natural as Ubuntu, right? Which is a bond, which is brotherhood, which is friendship, which is something like actually, the funny thing is like when I how I came about like thinking about this power of Ubuntu, the power of the mind, is how I was actually in university, and then there was this man from the UN, and he is an international relations guy, and he works with the UN and does a lot of stuff. So then I just I was so interested in his job and everything, and I was just thinking like, all right, they are trying to save the world from evil things, right? So then I just got the silly idea of asking him in front of everyone, like, what is the thing that can give us world peace? So when I asked him, like, he heard me and he paused and he started laughing. And everyone started laughing, even like the dean and everybody. Like, everyone started, even I started laughing. Like, all right, maybe that was a silly question. But then when I started thinking about it, that is not a silly question. That is a question that has an answer. Because the Ubuntu frequency says that, like, when you have this common nature, natural splendor, like the natural balance in the universe, is that energy which will prevent wars. Like, it will literally prevent wars. Like, if people have this type of understanding, the natural Ubuntu, the natural bond, natural bonfire, natural bond, natural love, then why would people fight? They would resolve their issues in different ways. Because if you look at it, the people who started diplomacy, courtship, courts, societies were Africans. And they had this spirit of Ubuntu. And this is the same spirit that can actually give us world peace if it was accepted in that frame of reference. But it's such a strong word. Even when I say it, like, it gives me chills because it's such a strong word and such a strong concept. And words have frequencies. So when you look at the alphabet, what you have is alpha, beta. Alpha is a frequency, beta is a frequency. So when you say Ubuntu, what you're putting out is a frequency. That's the Ubuntu frequency. So it actually, like, when it's something that has a lot of power. Like, so it's something that can actually prevent certain things. But our world has certain things that now it considers to be natural, but these are not natural, but these are artificial, but they're being nurtured in a certain environment, artificial environments. So when we understand that guarding your heart is guarding it against all of these artificial things, and reclaiming the natural splendor back, like being natural again, like living a natural life, natural living, natural insight, nothing artificial, like this is the thing, like natural intelligence or artificial intelligence, and artifice or nature. So this is what you get, like, when you want to guard your heart, what you're looking for is the natural, not the synthetic. Synthetic starts with sin. So what you're looking for is natural, native, the naked. Like, they were in the garden and they were naked because they were natural. So what you want to look for is that naked, that naked aspect, like undressed, unaddressed, the unaddressed. This is what you're looking for. So when you look at the artificial, what you're just looking at are artifices. This is artificial intelligence. Put a chip in my brain, all of that stuff. Like, that is not protecting your mind, not protecting your heart. So when you have this Ubuntu, it's like you have a different understanding, because you are a person, and not just a person, but you are a person through other people, because other people gave you life. This is why they appreciate their parents. They appreciate their parents, even dead or alive. They appreciate them, because I am because they were. So this is just understanding, like, the fourth commandment, like, listen to your parents and your days will be multiplied. So when you understand this in this basic way, natural, like, naturally we know good and we know bad, and like, you didn't need a Bible to tell you that, because it's natural. So when you understand the natural, you're guarding your heart and your mind. Like, no one is like Cain. Like, no one's like Cain. Like, hey, even Cain, like, he was doing things that were unrighteous. Like, there's more to that story. He just didn't kill him just to kill him, but there was more to that story. So understanding that Your heart is everything. Your mind is your heart. And through this, you have the power of your own mind and your own abilities. And this is a different frequency, a different energy that raises you above your former thoughts and former being. Because what you're looking at is life in a kaleidoscope. This is the land of milk and honey. So when you're looking at it, you're seeing a very different reality that is based on nature, that is based on a natural, nurturing environment where if you have an idea, you're gonna make it flourish. If you have a person near you, you're gonna build that person up. And this is the only way that people will stop going to war. This is the only way that people will stop stealing. This is the only way that people will stop being corrupt. This is the only way. What other way is there? When you look at the UN, where that gentleman worked for, all of these institutions are looking for a way to make people be Ubuntu, to make people bond, to make people be one, to make people see others through themselves. This is what we call humanities. So they're being humanitarian, but being humanitarian means Ubuntu. Ubuntu means man. So Ubuntu is humanity, humanitarian. This is the basis of it. And this is what they're trying to do. So they're trying to be on this frequency. And when we say this word, what we're using is an alphabet, alpha wave, beta wave, theta wave, delta wave. So this is the the ABC. So the alpha, beta is alpha wave and beta wave, which traps us in a certain wavelength. But then when you have this Ubuntu, it is beyond words. So it is beyond the frequencies. So it's beyond words because it's an action. So you have to become it. This is a human being. This is why Ubuntu is being human. So human being. And this is being human. So it's like what we are here to do. Like you're a human being who's being human. This is Ubuntu. A person being a person. So when you have this understanding, this is the first philosophy in the world. This is the only philosophy in the world. So when you have this understanding, what you have is the basis of humanity is through like life, other people. Like everyone has life through other people, whoever they are. And through this understanding, you're able to appreciate everyone else who has life because we have a common heritage. So this is something that can actually stop wars and give people a different insight, because all of the people who are bloodthirsty, who are greedy, who are covetous, all of these things just springs from a lack of understanding of who they are and a lack of this Ubuntu. Because the only reason why you'd want to do something harmful to someone is because you lack this humanity. So having humanity, being human, being sane is like the basis of it. And when you actually look at art, like the Renaissance had the Renaissance, like Da Vinci art, like that started, like that's a rebirth of Ubuntu. And through this rebirth, the Renaissance gave us art, and this art was marked with something called humanism. So this humanistic art, this is Medici art. The popes were commissioning art, humanist art. So this humanist artwork is what they were commissioning, so that they could replace, like this is a rebirth of Ubuntu, a rebirth, Renaissance. So the first artworks were like Nigerian art, like Nok art, like those like the first thinking man, like that dude was just like that. That's a Nigerian replica of the first art. The Nok artists were the dopest artists. The rebirth was rebirthing that through humanist, through Ubuntu. They wanted to give it a rebirth through this Renaissance. So they were just trying to reimagine this society. Ethiopia, the first utopia. This is what they were trying to reimagine. And the original and the synthetic. So this is how you guard your heart and your mind, because this is all the same thing. So when you're able to guard your heart, then you're able to understand the true essence of your nature, the true essence of being human, not being humanist. Okay, humanist is just sensual, but then being a person who is human is being spiritual. This is when you're supernatural, not just natural, because what is guiding your mind is the thought like, all right, what can I do for you today? This is the type of thinking that you're on when you're on this Ubuntu frequency. You're thinking like, hey, what can I do for you today? Like you wake up with that thought, like, hey, what can I do for the people around me today? This is how these people were thinking. And through this thought process, they were able to create societies that were likened to heaven on earth. This Ubuntu comes from the land of Punt. The land of Punt is called God's land, or the kingdom of God. So when Jesus is talking about the kingdom of God, re-examine that. The kingdom of God is the land of Punt. And this is what they call God's land. So when Jesus is talking about the kingdom of God and those principles that he had to use an example for, because they're beyond words, this is what he's talking about, this Ubuntu frequency. This is the kingdom of God. This is how you guard your heart and your mind. This is the meek will inherit the earth. Okay? So the land of Punt is the heart is the earth. The power. Taking back the power. The power. Taking back the power.
Success knocking at my door. I think I got the Nobel Prize on the roll. Like I'm getting cheese with greenbacks. On another level, like I'm Ubering an elevator. On another level, like a penthouse in a condominium. Sticking out the box, cause my mind is claustrophobic. My mind is like a Jedi and I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi. Stacking piles from the evening to the morning. Making fun dysfunctional and animaniac with Looney Tunes brains attached. I'm at my prime like Optimus, it's obvious. This guy is fly like powder heads. I got the scratch like lotteries. A king in this plutocracy. Trump your type of politics, I'm sorry, I leave with no apologies. The power. The power. The power. The power. The power. Taking back the power. The power. The power. The power. The power. The power. Taking back the power. The power. The power. The power. The power. The power. Taking back the power. The power. The power. The power. The power. The power. Taking back the power.
You haven't got a revolution that doesn't involve bloodshed, and you're afraid to bleed. You don't know what a revolution is. If you did, you wouldn't use that word. A revolution is bloody. Revolution is hostile. Revolution knows no compromise. Revolution overturns and destroys everything that gets in its way. Everything that gets in its way.
The power. The power. The power. The power. The power. Taking back the power.